So this is an example of what I did. This one that I did has 5 baby chicks on it. Think about how many kids are in your family. If there's 3 of you, if there's 4 of you, we'll be planning ahead as we do it, and you can put as many little baby chicks as you want, and we can talk about that when we get there. I have a half sheet from my watercolor pad, which is a 9 by 12. And so this is cut in half, so it's a 6 by 9. And I'm gonna fold it in half again to make a card. Now you're gonna think about what side is the front. I don't know how many times I've started painting and then I realized that I painted the back of the card instead of the front because we open our cards a certain way, so it's this way, right? So just make sure you know which side is the front, and then we're gonna lay it on the table, and I'm gonna switch my camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing from the top down, and you can see as I work and we can follow along, okay? First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our masking tape, and we're gonna make a little frame. See how there's a crisp little frame around our picture here? We want to have that crisp frame. We want to be able to paint all the way to the edges of it and make it look nice and crisp. So I'm just going to get some pieces of masking tape. And it's not super complicated. You don't even have to make sure that it's the exact right length. You just want to make sure that it's longer than your paper. So I'm going to line it up with the top of my page like that. So get your pencil out, and we're gonna draw the shapes before we paint them. So we're gonna draw the shape of our chicken right here, okay? So first we're gonna think about the very center of our page, and we don't want it too big. We want room for the side and everything, and we want room for the baby chicks. So we're gonna make a U kind of right in the middle, just like this. Kind of a wide U, okay? Make that nice wide U. And then from the left side of the U, you're gonna let that top, it's gonna go, the top of the U shape is gonna go up just a hair. It's about, about that high. And then down. Okay, so we have his head, or her head, and the front of her body. And then her back is gonna go straight over, just like that. And then we're gonna do the tail. It's gonna go up. And then see how it's like bumpy on the back? So we're gonna go bumps. We're gonna go bump, 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 bump. However many bumps you wanna do, okay? So that's the back of the tail. Now the mama chicken is looking over her shoulder at her baby chicks. And so we're gonna put her beak just down from the top a little bit. Okay, so from there, we are going to do this top little comb thing right here, the bumpy comb on the top of the chicken's head. And so we're just going to, you can do it as many little bumps as you want. It's just a little bump. You go bump, bump. I'm going to do 3 on this one. I did 4 on that one. I did 3. We'll do 3 on this one. Just little bumps on the top of the head. Okay. Now this chicken needs an eyeball, and I kind of like to do these big circle eyeballs. So I'm going to give her a big circle eyeball right in the middle of her face. We only see one because she's turning her head sideways. Okay, and we're going to wait to put like the direction she's looking until we get the little baby chicks in there. So we'll decide where she's looking later. But we're going to go down here after we got that eyeball. Got the eyeball? We're going to go down here. And we're going to draw the shape of this wing right here. And it's kind of like a half circle that's on an angle. So we're going to we'll draw first the U of the half circle. So it's just the same shape as the bottom of the chicken. Just like that. See? Another U shape. Okay, and then we're going to draw the top of it just by a straight line connecting the dots. And there's her wing. Okay? And if you want, it can be a little bit bigger or a little smaller. It's up to you. This is your design, your painting. Okay? So next, we're gonna go down and we're gonna give her some legs. Now, chicken legs they're not usually straight down, they're usually at an angle. See how they're at an angle? Boop, boop, like that. So we're gonna start kind of near the back of her body, not all the way to the back, but near the back. And we're gonna make an angled line. It's gonna go like that, okay, for her first leg. And then the next one is gonna be near it, just right in front of it, and the same angle, just like that, okay? And if one's a little longer than the other, that's okay. She's standing there, okay? So now that we've got where our chicken is, now we're gonna put our baby chicks. Now baby chicks are pretty easy. They're basically circles, but we gotta think about how big they are compared to the mama. We don't want babies that are bigger than mama. So we're gonna, Laura's laughing at me. We're gonna think about, and we're gonna think about how many we need to fit on the page. If there's only a couple, you know, you can pretty much put them wherever you want. But if you have like 8, 9, 10 more, you need to, you know, think really strategically about where we're going to put them. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to actually put 8 baby chicks, okay? And you think about how many kids are in your family, and you put that many baby chicks on your chicken, okay? So I'm going to start with one, and he's going to sit right on mama's back, and he's a little chick, okay? So we're just going to do a circle right on mama's back. There he is. All right. The next one I'm gonna put is gonna be kind of hiding behind mama's tail, so I'm gonna only see half of him, and you can do this too. We're gonna see half the baby chick hiding behind mama's tail. There's 2 baby chicks. Uh-oh, I got a baby chick crying in the background. Okay, he's good. All right, next baby chick, maybe I'm gonna have one sitting on the ground down here. There, I have all of my baby chicks placed. I know where they're gonna be. Now I need to give them legs, okay? Some of them you're not gonna see their legs. I'm not gonna see this guy's legs, he's hiding. But I'm gonna see most of the other legs. So I'm gonna start with this guy up top. Now baby chicken legs are the same as mommy legs. They're kind of off center. We're gonna start in the back, and we're gonna go like this. There's the first baby chick. He's got legs. These guys, they're sitting on top of mom, so I'm just gonna give them tiny little short little legs. You don't really see them. These guys down here, they can stand up. So I'm gonna have this one have his legs come out from here, just 2 little lines. This guy, he's facing this way, 2 little lines. So everybody gets 2 little lines for legs, and you can decide kind of where you wanna put those legs. So they're just short little legs. They're shorter than mama's legs, okay? We're talking about proportion today, so shorter versus longer. Mama gets longer legs than babies. All right. And there's all my baby chicks that you can see their legs. You can see their legs now. Okay, so maybe there's planning ahead, thinking about where you're putting those baby chick legs. Now you can see on my chicks that I drew down here, some of them are looking sideways like mom, and you can only see 1 eye. Some of them are looking forward, and you can see 2 eyes. So look at your baby chicks where you've placed them, and think about what direction they're gonna be looking, okay? So I think this guy way up here, I think he's gonna be looking down at mommy. So I'm gonna give him a beak on the edge so that I know he's looking that way. And then I'm gonna give him 1 eyeball, okay? And then this guy, I think he's gonna be looking kind of down at the wing. Maybe he's thinking about jumping down. So I'm gonna give him 2 eyeballs. And they're kind of lower on his body. And then a little beak is a triangle. So just when you do the beaks, it's either a triangle on the side or a triangle in the middle, or like a V shape, I guess. Okay. This guy, he's gonna look up at mom like that. Okay. This guy, and now we have the circles for the eyes. Now we want to give them little eyeballs to know exactly where they're looking. So as you get to that, I'm gonna make mama is gonna look up at she's like, what are you doing up there? So she's gonna look up. So yeah, I'm gonna put it like pointing at this guy, and he's gonna be looking at her being like, look, Mom, look how high I am on the tail. This guy's like, oh no. I think he's looking up that way too. This guy's looking down. This guy's looking over. And so you just put your the little black dots in the eyes wherever you want your chicken to be looking. So I have all my chickies looking different directions. Okay, and now if you want, you can add little tail feathers or wings, but don't color it in. We're just doing outlines right now, okay? So I'm gonna give this guy a little tail, and it's just a little like boop boop shape. This guy is gonna get a tail. I like giving tails to the sideways looking ones. This one, he has a tail there. This one, I'm gonna give him a wing that's kind of popping out right there. Maybe a tail too. So give him a couple of little fluffy little bits. This one has 2 feathers coming off the top of his head, I think. Maybe this one too. He's got 1 feather. So you can give him 1 or 2 feathers each, just kind of poking off, you know, those fluffy little chicks. They need tails and wings. Maybe do a couple on the inside. Just whatever you want your chickie to look like. I just like to make like little W shapes for wings. Okay. We're almost ready to paint. There's just a couple more things we're going to do before we start painting. Okay. The first thing, one more thing is we're going to give a horizon line. See how my green and my blue meet right here in the background? I'm just going to do that. So it's about halfway through my chicken. And I do it where there's no chickies, so it's not a big deal, but I go behind, and just imagine the line going behind the chicken. Next, we're going to give him, last thing we're going to do before we start painting is give them feet, okay? Now, feet can be, you start at the bottom of the leg, and you're going to do 3 lines for the toes that go forward. So whichever way is forward for their feet, so her feet are going to face this way. There's 1, 2, 3 lines, and then 1 backward. Boop. And then 1, 2, 3 lines, and then 1 backward, like that. And with the babies, you can just do it smaller. You can just do 2. Even though they probably do have 3 toes, you can just do smaller, whichever way. I'm just going to do 2 toes on some of them, just because they're so small. We're going to say you can't really see those toes very well, so we're just going to give them little tiny impressions of feet. This guy, he's going to have his toes coming over Mama's tail, so he's hanging on tight. Okay. So I hope you got your chicken all drawn out and ready to go. Now we're going to switch. We're going to put our pencils away, and we're going to get out our paint brush, and we're going to start in on that painting, okay? Okay. So the first thing I do when I'm going to paint with watercolor is I'm going to take my clean brush, I'm going to put it in my clean watercolor water. My water, it's just a glass of water, and I'm going to scrape off that extra water. So it's not super drippy wet, but it has water on it. And then I'm going to pick out what color I'm going to use. The first thing I'm going to do is I like the little black and white speckled chickens. So you see my black chicken, he's got like that black and white speckles going on. I like that, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So I'm going to start with the black chicken. Okay, so I have my black color right here. It's pretty messy, but it's going to work. And then with my paintbrush that has water on it, I'm going to start kind of waking up the paint. Okay, so see how it's all dried out. I just wake it up just a little bit, and I kind of squish it around, and I rub like back and forth like this. I don't jam it in, but I just rub it back and forth just to wake up that paint. Okay. And I don't want it super drippy. If it's dripping paint, it's way too wet. Okay, so just a little bit of paint on there, and I'm going to start at the top of her head, and I'm going to go real careful around the eyeball so I don't paint inside the eyeball. Okay. I'm just going to paint her whole head black, but then once I get below the eyeball where it's a little bit easier to paint, I'm going to start making these little shapes right here. See how it's kind of bumpy? So what I do, I'm going to get a little bit more water, and I'm going to rub around my paint so it's And take off any extra. And we're gonna do this little kind of scallop, this little, they're like little bumps. You can go bump, bump, bump. And we're gonna leave white in between. Do you guys see that? And I'm just gonna go bump, 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 leaving white in between. I'm staying inside the lines. I come down here and I go bump, bump, bump. And you can just make the bumps as big as or small. And now I'm going to go inside the wing and with those same kind of lines. So you see my chicken right here. We have those little bumpy lines here, and then at the end of the wing right here, I did straight lines. So you can do that too. We'll follow along. We'll go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out my brush and my water. Just like swish it around in there, scrape it off like that, and then I'm going to use my paper towel to make sure that it's clean. Now if I wipe my brush like this and it comes off black, I'll know I'll need to put it back in the water and wash it off again, okay? Because we don't want black in the next color that we use, right? Just make sure that your brush is getting nice and clean. You can kind of go like this and fold it over and press it a little bit. Don't pull the hairs out, just press it in just a little bit, okay? So next, we want to make sure that we're not working really close to whatever's wet at the moment. So we're going to get our yellow and we're going to paint in a couple of our chickies and so that they're yellow. So I'm going to grab a color, get my paint that I want, and I'm going to grab some yellow color. And this time I'm going to show you guys, you can use your palette just to kind of squish it around a little bit. It kind of becomes like, you get a little bit of yellow, you squish it. And what this does is it gets the color into your brush and also make sure that you don't have like dots and dots of water coming off of it, okay? So just enough paint, it squishes around on that plastic palette. And we're gonna go and we're just gonna start with the chickens that aren't touching the mama at the moment, okay? Just in case our black is still wet, we don't want it to bleed into our yellow. Now we have this little guy who I accidentally painted over a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let things dry for a minute. I'm going to wash my brush out until it's clean. And if you messed up, this is what you do. This is the instructions for how to get the paint off. I'm going to get my paintbrush all the way clean, and I'm going to get my paper towel ready. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have a clean paper towel and a clean brush with clean water on it. I'm going to make sure it's not super wet, but I do need a little bit of water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush, and as long as this paint is dry, I can do this. If it's wet, it won't work. But I just kind of rub on it with the paintbrush that's wet. I rub where I want to take the paint up, okay? And then take my paper towel, dab it off. And if it comes off a little bit, I'm pretty happy about that. And I can go and do that again. Rub, rub, rub. And then paper towel. You don't want to do this a ton of times, but if you do it like once or twice, it's okay. Now I'm going to let that dry, and later I'll come back and I'll paint that little guy, because right now he's wet, and if I try it, the yellow will get all over the place. But now I've taken out the black where I didn't want it, so we're good. Okay, so back to painting yellow. I forgot Mama's beak, so I'm going to go ahead and get my yellow for the beak. Okay, just real careful. Boop, boop. Just like that. All right. I think that's all the yellow I can paint for now, so I'm going to wash out my brush. That was quick. Wash out that brush. Make sure it's clean. Okay. Now I want to paint my little the mama's comb here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, let's see, I'm gonna get a red color. I'm gonna squish it on my little mixing place right here, just to make sure that it's not super drippy. Maybe it's a little light. A little more pigment. Oh, that's nice and dark. See how dark that is? I'm squishing around, not super wet. I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna paint that little comb. Remember, if your black is still wet, try not to touch it because it'll bleed into it. There we go. It's got that little comb on top. We're good. All right. Now we're gonna wash out our brush again. Okay. Now at this point, I'm gonna start thinking about the background. I'm hoping my chickies are drying. I'm gonna blow on them a little bit just to make sure. Blow, blow, blow. Because we're gonna be painting this green, the first layer of green in the background here. And so we want our chickies to be pretty dry so that we don't accidentally turn our chickens, our little baby chicks, green. Okay, so we're gonna figure out what color we want. We want a light-ish colored green. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna mix colors to get the green that I want. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of the yellow here, and I'll put it on my palette. It's kind of a brighter yellow than the one we use for the chickies. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of water. I'm going to grab a little bit of this blue color over here. And it makes, this is called cerulean blue, and it's just a little bit more of a calm color than the bright greens you sometimes get. So you can mix a blue and a yellow to get green, or if you have a green on your palette that you really like, you can just go ahead and use that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on one side of the chicken, and we're going to start at that horizon line that we made, and we're just going to start laying in that color real gentle. And you want to have enough paint on your brush that it's not running out real quick, but you don't want it super drippy either. But I just kind of keep on bringing it down slowly. I don't go over what I already painted. See how I just leave that there. If I want it darker later, I can go back over with another layer and get it darker. But I just go one little area at a time, and I just make sure that I have the color that I want. Mix more of it. Some more yellow and green and blue. And if you want, you can add, like, I mean, this time it's a little bit more yellow in that color than it was last time. And I'm just gonna kind of come on here. I'm gonna lay that in, just barely touching the edge of where I just painted. I'm gonna really carefully go around my little baby chickies so that I don't get them green. I want them to stay yellow. Come down here. And you want your color light enough. We're actually gonna paint straight over those legs that we drew. We wanna be able to, because watercolor is transparent, and so you can actually see how you can still see their little legs. So you can still see through the legs, through the paint. So just kind of, you know, go carefully along, not going over again where you already painted, just kind of bringing the paint across the page little by little. There we go. All right, so we got my green background for the bottom. Now, hopefully by now, up here is dry, so we're gonna be able to switch and do blue and not have anything accidentally bleed. So I'm gonna wash out my brush again. Now I'm gonna think about what color I want the sky to be. All right, let's try this one. What's this one? Ooh, that one's bright. Okay. This color is really, really bright, so I'm gonna do a lot of water with it to get the, so see how it's like a really, really wet puddle? I'm gonna do a lot of water because if I did it without the water, it would be way too dark for a sky. So I'm gonna add more water. More water. I think that's about good. See how wet that is? Now, I'm not gonna take all of that to the page. I'm gonna make sure my brush isn't super wet. come up here. And I'm going to start, let's see, I'm going to start at the top corner and we're going to work down this way, kind of, okay? Start at that top corner, working fast, and making sure that I'm not going over again what I already did. I'm just bringing the paint down across the page, okay? There we go. And we have a blue sky. Hooray! I'll wash out my brush. Now, if anyone had an accident like I did, and you need to paint over what you fixed earlier, that's what I'm going to do right now. Otherwise, keep on painting your sky or your grass. Keep going with that. I'm going to wash out my brush, and I'm going to grab some more yellow so I can paint my little chickie who got left behind. He's right there behind the wing. So I'm going to make sure my brush is clean. Don't want to have any blue in that brush. Make sure it's really, really clean. I'm going to go back to the yellow. There's my yellow right there. Make sure it's not too wet. Just need a little bit of paint. I'm going to go in and paint my little cheeky yellow. There we go. Yeah. Now he's yellow. Hooray! Now, we're going to look at our picture. So I have a lot of little textures and things going on in here. And if you are feeling happy and you don't want to do that and you're like, hey, I'm totally done, you really don't need to do that. But if you want to, what you can do is you can grab a darker color green and you can go in and put little blades of grass in there. So let's look at that right now, okay? So I'm just going to put a couple blades of grass and kind of walk you through that. So I'm going to grab a little bit darker green color. I'm going to mix it on my palette so that I make sure that it's not too dark or not too watery, okay? And for the grass, I just do little lines near the chickies, like that. And if your grass area is still wet, it'll bleed all over, but if you wait for it to dry, you'll get these nice little blades of grass. And it's kind of fun to kind of do them in little lines like that as they go across. And you can do patches of darker grass, or you can grab a little bit of yellow and do patches of like brighter green grass. Once it's dry, you're gonna wanna wait a while, but once it's dry, you can take, once the whole thing is absolutely dry, then you can take a pen or a marker or a paper, I use a colored pencil, and you can write Happy Mother's Day across the top, or you can do it in the white area after you take out your tape. A quick word about taking off tape that's probably important to talk about real quick. I'm gonna wash off my brush. When you go to take off your tape, and you don't have to do it right now, but when you go to take off your tape, make sure that you are pulling away from your painting, not towards it. Okay, so I'm going to pick up this edge and I'm going to pull it away so it goes almost flat to the paper. And I'm going to pull away very gently. Okay, just like that. And you can see I have that nice crisp line now. And I'm just going to do that one edge at a time. And when you go to do it, you don't have to do it right now. Don't feel rushed. If you're still painting, if you're still enjoying painting, feel free to wait until your painting is all the way dry before you take your tape off, okay? If you're ready, by all means, go for it. So we're just going to go like this. Take this off. Go real slow so you don't rip your paper. Real careful. And last one. There we go. And there's your painting.